Now we are going to see what happened after February, after making the government. What happened that we are going to see. When we are making the first government, there will be some problems with that. Nor that is quite natural. So we can see like that here, army officials, landowners, and the industrialists. There was the prominent members or the influential members of the provincial government. There was the influential members or prominent members of the government, because first of all they are financially good, the or army officials with physical strength and their followers, and the landowners and the industrialists who can help the government financially, so they are having the much importance in the government, new government. And at the same time we can see the other group of the people, the liberals, they are thinking, are liberals and socialists, they are thinking like that the elected government, they want to get elected government, and the restrictions on public meeting and the associations were removed. Because of the government, they were already the socialist and liberal people, they was asking for the liberation from these restrictions which for the public meeting and association, they got like that. And soviet like a Pentecost Soviet, sorry, Petrograd Soviet were set up in everywhere. Not only one place, everywhere they started like that Soviet through no common system of the election was followed. There was no particular system because they are forming. They mean starting of formation of the one country. For that purpose, what they are making the Soviets here and everywhere, and it is not with the help in the form of election, but they started Soviet. And and April 1917, the Bolshevik leaders, and that is the Lenin, he is returned after from France after his exile. The Russian people, they sent him out of Russia because his work was not the government or Sir King can't accept that one, so he was sent outside, and he came back on April 1917. And he and his Bolshevik had opposed the war since 1914. The 1914 war already opposed by the Lenin team, and now he felt it was a time for the Soviet to take over the power. When Lenin came, that time he is saying like that Soviet want to take power in their hand, means they want to start rule in the country, and he declared that the war he be brought to the to a close, and land be transferred to the peasants, means there he's making like that all the wars should be stopped, and the land want to give to the peasants, it want divide and given to the peasants, and banks to be nationalized, all the banks should be nationalized, not the river bank, financial bank should be nationalized. So we can see in India also we are having many nationalized bank, and we are having the land reform movement and other things. Everything they started in Russia in 1917 onwards, or in the time of Lenin itself. And these three demands were Lenin's April thesis. These three demands, it is known as the April thesis of Lenin. Lenin's three thesis that in April month he made, so it is known as the April thesis. He also argued the Bolshevik party rename itself as a communist party. He is asking like that. He said like that the communist party means that is his own Bolshevik party itself, and indicate a new radical aim with a different aim. He started in Bolshevik party, workers party, he started to renew the working time and other things, and here he is starting with communist party with a different aim. And most others of the Bolshevik parties were initially surprised by the April thesis, because they never thought like that they will get it, because the land is giving to the peasants and like the things, it is very difficult. So they other Bolshevik parties, they got surprised. They thought that the time was not yet ripe for a revolution, and socialist revolution, and the provisional government need to be support. the other Bolshevik groups, they are thinking like that. It is not the time for social revolution, the socialist revolution. And at the same time, the new government, provisional government want to get support from the people. But the development of subsequent months changed the attitude. Slowly, they also changed their attitude. And through the summer uh, through the summer workers movement and spread in a month of April, the summer workers movement it spreaded in Russia. And industrial areas, factory committee, they formed factory committees. First thing, they form the what happened in the after the February, or at the time of April, especially after the coming of Lenin. First one, the factory committee. In every factory they started factory committee, and they started to asking questions to the industrialists. Second one, trade unions, development of trade unions. And the number of the trade union, already trade unions was there, that is increased. Then third one, it is soldiers committee. They soldiers committee they developed like the three categories they are making the group. And the soldiers committees were formed the army, and with the help of army members, it may be according to the rank and other things, they made their soldiers committee also. In June, about 500 Soviet sent representative to the All Russia Congress of Soviet. The 500 Soviets, they are sending their representative for what? All Russia Congress of Soviets. Means everywhere, already we said everywhere they started Soviets, and that is developing everywhere, and they was able to send their representative that much. As a provisional government, so its power reduced, and Bolshevik influence it is growing. The provisional government, they understood like that their influence it is decreasing, and Bolshevik influence it is increasing, because they are the workers, and 85% of the people they are coming from the workers group. And it decided to take a stand measure against the spreading discontent. They are start means the Bolshevik group, they what they done, they started to think thought about the discontent. They was not satisfied with the rule of the provisional government, and it resisted attempts by the workers. The government tried to resist the workers by the government, and workers to run factories. The workers, they themselves started to think about making factories. Already we said like that they are started to think about cooperative factories, and the government tried to stop it and began the arresting the leaders. The government started to arrest the leaders. Even in India, when our leaders also fought against the British people, they also arrested many times. And the popular demonstrations stacked by the Bolshevik in July 1917. Because in 1917, Bolshevik group, they are stacked by the demonstrations, and were sternly repressed. They are become the government repressing or suppressing the Bolshevik demonstrations. Many Bolshevik leaders had to go into hiding or flee. They want to go away from their own places, because the government they started to repress the movement of the Bolshevik group. And meanwhile, the country, the peasants and the socialist revolutionary leaders pressed for the redistribution of land. And from peasant side, this is all about workers side, that is the officials and workers. And the peasant side also, they started to think about the redistribution of land. And land committee, they're forming the another one committee, that is the land committee. Total four committees. This is the fourth committee developing in Russia, that is the land committee, to handle to handle this, to making the survey and redistributing the land to the people taken by the land committee. And encouraged by the socialist revolutionaries, peasants seized land between July and September 1970 with the help of socialist revolutions. What they done by July to September, they taken land in their hand, or they seized the land. And we was discussing about four committees. And first one, it is factory workers factory committee. Second one, trade unions. then armies committee, soldiers committee, and peasants committee, or means land committee. Like that, four committees they are developing for the purpose of to help the factory workers, factory committee for the soldiers committee for soldier purpose, and land committee for farmers purpose, like that. So trade unions for business people's purpose. So with this we can see, we'll stop it and we'll continue in next video.